Welcome to the YouTube channel of BioSS. Today we have with us Ruchi Sharma. Hello, Ruchi. Thank you for being with us today. So,
Hi, Kushi.
about Ruchi, she graduated from Centennial College in 2017, and now she works at Trau Nutrition as HACCP, Central Region HACCP and Quality Control Coordinator. I hope that's correct.
Yes, we can call it HACCP.
Okay. So, Ruchi, starting with my first question, can you tell us about your professional journey after grad? Like, how did you get started and difficulties you faced and how you overcame them?
Absolutely. Right after my graduation, I landed into a very good job. But to get there, it wasn't easy, I would say. There are so many things associated with this transition from your school to your first job. Um, just to start with, like, in school you have deadlines. Okay, I have to finish this presentation or a group project in a week or by next Monday, right? But in industry, you have challenges like it has to be done now, real-time solutions, and something comes up, and you have to be good at decision making. But those things progress by time. It's not that hopefully you're not thrown under bus on the first day of your job, but these things does take time. And yes, I did face a few things on that part. But gradually I learned how to overcome those challenges.
So, were you a co-op student or you got a job on your own?
No, I wasn't. And I tell you something, while I was studying, I initially had no idea there's an option so-called co-op, right? And when I saw some of my classmates, they said, "Oh, I have a co-op," and I was curious to know how it's gonna work, how does it help, pros and cons, right? And my few friends did land into jobs because of their co-ops, and I regretted my throughout my whole period of my diploma. I was like, I wish I knew about it. But at the same time, I would say co-op does help you, but I don't have any regrets that I did not have a co-op because eventually everything starts from your good resume and eventually you apply. If you're not really good at paying attention to the details, doesn't matter that if even if you're a co-op, possibly you might not get a co-op, right? So I won't say that having co-op or not having a co-op was a big deal, at least for me. But there's nothing discouraging if you don't have, and even if you have, it's good. If you don't have, still there's like, it's not the end of the world.
So, the non-co-op students aren't missing very much in their education.
Absolutely not. No, I would say absolutely not, because eventually you have to go through a process of application and then getting selected for an interview. So everything can happen. So not necessarily you have to be in co-op. But if you are, that's good. But if you're not, nothing to regret about.
Okay, because I myself am in co-op, but a lot of my friends are not. So just
Oh no, absolutely.
a
Yes.
lot of students are in non-co-op. So
Right.
just
Yeah. See, everybody can get there, right?
yeah,
It takes
just to
time.
let
So
you
yes.
know.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing to feel bad about.
Yeah. So how did your education at Centennial College prepare you for your job?
Um, I think it's especially I'm going to talk about Centennial because from my own experience, the course I took, the whole time, the subjects I took, I would say Centennial, they had designed, kudos to the program chair and all the professors, they had designed program in a way that pretty much made us to understand how things work in industry. I would say it wasn't just academics. It was more of your they made you to do things, giving you the projects to imaginary industries, how it's going to work for you. Like you are acting as a technician at this point, so how it's going to work for you. And while studying, we at least got a verbal idea like how it's going to look when we land into that position. So Centennial, yes, I can talk about the program, and it was just a thorough attention to the details by the professors or the chair of the program and whosoever designed the program.
So
Mhm.
it's actually preparing you for the market.
Absolutely, yes, yes. You don't feel strange when you get out and you're like, I have no idea what's happening, but no, you definitely got an idea.
So that brings to my next question, the skills and techniques. I'm sure most of them you learn, the skills and techniques you learned here, you're using now in your
Mhm.
job. So can you tell me more about it, like how it's helpful for you?
Being an international student, I would say the time management. Uh, I do feel I could have burnt out if I hadn't learned how to manage time while studying because you're working part-time, you are homesick, and you have challenges. You're challenged by your professors, you have challenges working as a team. Um, you have you're like you have a culture shock too, just to add on that because I had culture shock for sure. So time management and organizational skills, like you get to picture your next day, next 24 hours, or at least your whole week, right? It's more like, you are at work, but you know that what's when you're gonna go back, you're gonna sleep, or you're gonna cook, or you're gonna study, or you're gonna prepare a presentation, what you're gonna do. So the time management and organizational skills, they make you to get there, and they definitely help when you're working in real fast-paced environment and industry.
So
Yes.
they're preparing you not just for your job, but also for your life.
No, in journal, I think it teaches you discipline, not only to be the one, a bookworm, but also to develop your personality. Excuse me.
So now, what problems do you think most students face when they transition from academics to environment, and how do you suggest tackle them? Because most of the students in their home country do not really have experience like working and studying. We just either study or either work. So
Right, right. Um, I would say the biggest challenge, people have different personalities. I'm gonna talk as a human being. Some people are introverts, some are extroverts. When you are in school, you have that specific group of people around you, and or you have like what, 30, 40, 50 students or sitting in the big lecture hall and your professor is talking to you and that's it. Or out of school, you might have your friends, right? But when it comes to work, you have to work with certain group of people that you don't know them personally. Even professionally, everybody have a different sort of personality. And especially while we are studying of talking about biotech or food science or uh, literally industrial job profiles, right? You sometimes you need to have conversations with different people. And I have felt that it is not easy for everybody to open up, to take that stand where you can, confidently communicate with people, considering like, oh, they are really experienced, what are they gonna think about me? If I do something wrong, how it's gonna impact other departments, how it's gonna impact the company. So that sort of confidence, or I would say, adaptability. That's the word for that. Students do feel that it is not easy to adapt sometimes the industrial environment and coming out of from you that specific group. So it's sometimes it's tough to adapt new environment and new people, working with new people. Yeah, that's it. That's something I felt to some extent, but I did overcome that. But that was one of the things I felt as a person.
okay. So looking back, is there anything you wish you had done differently?
I always say this to my friends who are still in school or who are about to start a career. I personally think I wish I had more focused on my um I would say health in a way that, I never prioritized my hunger, my food, or, my own taking care of my own self over studies or even part-time job or full-time job. I was working on campus too. Um, I worked as a student ambassador and I was volunteering as international student ambassador as well. And I had a part-time job outside, and that's this full-time course, and then so many labs and presentations, group projects. And now I look back and I feel like I did miss my meals sometimes. In long run, they're not good.
Yeah,
I totally understand. Sometimes you are nervous or you're stressed out, you have a deadline. But trust me that 10 minutes break for food, it's not gonna hurt.
that's true.
I do look for that part, and I do suggest new students or anybody I meet who are, the potential graduates. I'm like, don't do that to yourself.
Sure. You suggest them to prioritize their health first.
Absolutely. It's gonna go a long way. Yeah, health is gonna go a long way. So is study, but health, if you're not healthy, you cannot focus. You cannot give your 100%. Things can wait, but 10 minutes break for food, it will go a long way.
Now, what have you learned in the industry that you wish you had learned here in college?
Oh, that's a tough one. Uh, in industry, I did learn resilience. Um, in a way, like my 8 years in industry, I do feel sometimes you are not happy about something, and that's where your skill set from leadership kicks in. Well, I don't like to exaggerate, but I do like to mention that I did graduate with distinction in leadership in Centennial. Um, I think that was something that helped me to learn to be more resilient about things. I'm not saying that you should be okay to say yes to the wrongs or being okay to the wrongs. No, but it's more like forgetting the bad part and remembering the good part and overcoming your own stress and own sad moments in industry. Like I remember when I was in school, I would remember things like, if my professor asked me to do something in a certain way, I would remember that, but I would feel sad about it, like, I could have done better. But in industry, you do make mistakes, but you just can't stand there. You need to overcome that faster because you have 10 new challenges waiting for you. So I think I was a bit slow in learning that, but remember, being an immigrant, I had to learn it faster, and I did. Centennial did help me in that. But yes, that is something I did learn later.
Okay. What would you suggest any additional certification or training to students apart from academics that would help them secure a job?
Um, I tell you, regardless how many certifications do you have, that does not guarantee you to have a job. Biggest reason behind this is we need to learn the chronology of how we need to get where. So let's talk about food industry, right? Some people would go for like just right after graduation, they want to have a certification that costs you about $2,000. Not necessarily that's going to help you to get a job, because having that specific certification, possibly you need to have experience on the side. So you can't do that. So first you need to figure out which certifications are compatible with your course. Second, you need to learn the stages. Like I will talk about myself getting into food industry. I knew first thing I needed to do was HACCP certification, right? And then gradually I did got other certifications, like, I would say internal auditor. I did get an FSSC. I did work in different codes of industry, right? But you need to gradually make steps to get there. I always suggest, like I was suggested by my manager, to start attending the webinars. So webinars are something, you can have access for free. So many certification companies or even industries, bigger companies, they have webinars and they do help you because that's the first platform where you just get you be the audience and you can ask questions from the experts there. You can start asking about your own job related questions, or you learn about, let's say, labeling, how labeling works in food industry, right? You might have a question about, oh, how it would work in this specific part of the food industry. So that's the first step, but don't rush yourself like, oh, if I have this certification, then I'm surely gonna get job. No, they do help, but take one step at a time.
Gradual process.
Absolutely, yes.
Sorry.
Mhm.
Now, can you share any resources or networking opportunities you benefited since graduating?
LinkedIn. I
Like,
say it loud, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is just not just looking for people or the right connections. It's about so many free courses post or your jobs and your internships, so many things, and people sharing their own stories, which are on the professional end, how they overcome about um, their problems or their challenges. And you could have one of them. So I always say it loud, LinkedIn is one of the best social media platform to connect to people. And other than that, of course, if you're trying to explore new job opportunities, comes to Indeed or yeah, I personally used Indeed in past, I would say, yes. So LinkedIn and Indeed both.
okay, LinkedIn and Indeed.
Yes.
So now coming back again to co-op,
Mhm.
how can students without like how much time does it take if you're not in co-op and how to, try to get into the industry faster?
Mhm. See, very first thing, you have to have good resume. Good resume does not mean that you have to lie about your qualifications or your experiences. Having a good resume means that you have to have clear-cut resume. Being a fresher, you don't need two, three, 4 pages resume. One page resume is more than sufficient. The purpose of resume is to, when you're applying at some place, so that the recruiter knows that, oh, okay, this is a person, this is their objective, and these are the qualifications, and this is what they have learned in school. You don't have to be in industry to learn calibration or buffer solution, right? If you have that information, you can mention that because this is what you learned in school. What is the purpose of having lab sessions, 3 hour lab session, right? That is the purpose, you're hands-on, that how do I handle my equipment and how do I read the result. Same thing applies in industry. Most of the industries, when they hire people, they don't see that, oh, what they have in experience or what is their grade, how much GPA they got. 8 years in Canada, nobody asked me for my GPA. I can tell you that. Yes, it's possible some people must have got asked, but I never did. And I worked in very good industries, reputable companies, and nobody asked me for that. Nobody even asked me my graduation certificate. In general, I think the biggest thing is they want to see that 2 years, 3 years in school, and you graduated. It means that you were disciplined enough to show up there and you got to attend most of the classes. And if you do that, that's where it starts. Co-op, yes, co-op is something that they know that, okay, this person is here for 4 months or 8 months or for a year. The same goes for the contract jobs, right?
Mhm.
Same goes for the internships, or same goes for the assistant jobs. So not just rush after co-op, it's fine. Look for other opportunities in industry, like look for assistant jobs. It could be quality assistant, right? Somebody who's assisting the quality team. Maybe it's a very, startup job, freshers position. So yes, not necessarily you have to have that. Start from building a good resume. Pick up the keywords that people want to hear. And don't write too much. Nobody reads that much. I myself have assisted my managers in, hiring process, and have seen fresher students having 3 pages resumes because just because they wanted to add more stuff into that. No, we don't want to see that. Things they want to see is that you are disciplined enough and you understand these terms. Yeah,
So good and concise resume is the key.
absolutely. Yes, to the point.
Now,
Yes.
do you have any suggestions for the students who would like to pursue masters or PhD after the course? Because in there are fast track programs, and people
Mhm.
who are in fast track programs have already done their bachelor's or
Yeah,
master's from their home
yeah,
country.
right, right. I myself did not um got enrolled in any of the further studies, but I did have friends who got into different universities. I'm not pretty sure about the steps, how to get it there, but I think everything starts with the availability at
Mhm.
the university in the program. And talking about your master's or research-based programs or your PhDs, I have friends, I remember, I think they do have to have the acceptance letters from their prospective professors who's going to guide them. You might need reference letters from your previous graduation or post-graduation, or even from here. I think first thing starts, you need to contact the professor who can, be your guide to for the continuation of the program. Mm-hmm.
And when do you think is the right time to start looking for a job while still in the program?
Um, I would say you need to complete your program and depends like what is your job profile because in industry there are very rare chances that you have part-time positions in quality especially. Um, I would say from your last semester, that's the perfect timing because most of the fresher jobs, either there are internships or assistant jobs or your quality control, quality assurance technicians, you need to have more like they give you some time, like, okay, you know what? If you're graduating in next 2 months, we can wait until then. So I would say it's not too early, not too late. In your last semester, you can start applying because eventually it takes time for the recruiters to go through maybe hundreds of resumes and then select some people and then give dates to the people for the interviews. And then after that, making decision on that, it eventually takes time. So last semester of the and by then actually by your last semester when you enrolled in your last semester your previous 3, 5, 6 semesters you have more knowledge of the program, you have more, have you a better understanding of um how it's going to work, what kind of jobs or what kind of questions I might get asked.
Right.
They usually not really ask too much about your academics. It's more about situational, circumstantial questions, and by then you are pretty much ready for that.
Now, we talked a lot about LinkedIn. So, is it okay for the current students or students who are coming in to add you on LinkedIn?
Absolutely, yes. Why not? I don't see a reason why not. I think that's the one of the, as I mentioned before, it's one of the best social media platform to have connections to connect with people, and it does not only let you to ask questions. Maybe somebody is looking for help, and at the same time, you can ask some questions to somebody, and this is how connect with people in industry. Yes, absolutely. I'll be happy.
Okay. So, would you be able to share your LinkedIn account on my email or something, and we'll
Yes,
just put
absolutely. I will send the link. Yes.
the video?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Thank you. So now coming to my last question,
Mhm.
what advice would you like to give to the students who are about to graduate or thinking about entering the programs here at Centennial College?
Um, so very first, as I already talked about, taking care of yourself, even if you're in the middle of transition from graduation to industry or about to graduate, taking care of yourself. Second is don't rush. Things take time and don't give up. Don't feel after applying 100 jobs, you don't get a call. That's not the end of the day, end of the world. It takes time. Um, especially new students, I would say, like when I was studying, I remember you do get sometimes more, motivations to do good, and sometimes you're demotivated just because you're tired or you're not feeling good, or you missed something, or you were expecting good grades in something, but you did not get that, or eventually you wanted to do something good, but you just missed it for some reason. Every day is a new day, so don't give up. Not so many people talk about these things, but I myself faced, I would say, mental health challenges while I was studying, not because I wasn't studying well. There are so many factors associated with that. Regardless, international students or domestic students, it is difficult journey, but it's beautiful journey if you know how to prioritize your things, your study, your job, your own health. So simply don't rush. Every day is a new day. So if today is not good, tomorrow you can conquer the world. So no, there's no rush in that.
There's always on tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Ruchi. It was really nice talking to you. It was really a productive session with you today. Thank you so much for being
Yes.
with us here today. Thank you.
Likewise, I really, really appreciate for having me here, and I do hope that that might help some students to open up in their, wisdom, and absolutely anytime.
Okay.